to us, they are heartless because that's not the way they have to treat us.
So you have worked with a company for how long? How many years?
18 years.
18 good years.
Yes, please.
And you are given just a month's salary
A month's
to go home?
Yeah, to go home.
No severance package whatsoever?
No, nothing.
Ken KOOMSON is the Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Federation of Labour. What does the law say?
Well, I think that it's quite pathetic that today we would have to discuss the lockdown, shutdown, or redundancy of trade fair. Kwame Nkrumah had a fantastic idea of making the trade fair a hub, primary hub for African trade. Today we should be celebrating trade fair, providing jobs in thousands, and not to talk about the dismissal and termination. Now, quickly, if you look at the Constitution of Ghana, we are governed by law, and it's important that our conduct fall within the ambit of the law. The Article 191 of the Ghana Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, provides that you cannot terminate a public officer or dismiss without a just cause, okay? Now, just cause means that you have to assign a reason for your conduct and action. It appears to me that the management of trade fair appears to be relying on the doctrine of the common law doctrine, which in those days were servant and master relationship, you could at will terminate, dismiss without providing reasons. Those are primitive times. Those are old times. We cannot, in 21st century, going forward, to appear to be relying on a common law disposition on the relationship between an employer and employee. If you look at this, Article 11 of the Constitution, there are hierarchy or ranks in our legislation. The first on top is the Constitution. Second is the Act of Parliament. Third is the regulation. Fourth is the existing laws. And fifth gives you the common law. Now, giving a reason to be, or giving the notice to represent a reason for which you want to discharge yourself of obligation is unacceptable. Now, the ILO Convention 158 stipulates that you cannot terminate the appointment of an employee without assigning a valid reason. And the reasons are either the person has misconducted himself, the person has proven to be incompetent, or some restructuring that is going on. If you look at the Section 8 of the Labour Act, it actually gives the employer the right to terminate. But in terminating, you have to rely on Section 15, which is the grounds.
Okay.
Now, the grounds
for termination.
The grounds for termination. And the first on that grounds is that the parties must agree that on this occasion we want to sever or we want to discharge our obligations or go. Now, if you look at the employees, there is a collective agreement.
Okay.
But prior to the collective agreement, there was an appointment letter, and there was a provision in the appointment letter that stipulated that the parties could discharge themselves with 1 month's notice. Unfortunately for management, the signing of the collective agreement gloriously replaced that provision in the appointment letters.
Right.
So it is unfair for management to appear to be relying on the provision of the appointment letter when there is a collective agreement clearly make provisions for what
I have
done.
the collective agreement here now. Article 47 of the collective agreement says redundancy and severance pay, which is compensation. And A says when an employee's service is terminated as a result of a closed down, amalgamation, or rearrangement causing employee to suffer any diminution in his terms and conditions of employment, he shall be paid compensation in addition to other entitlements.
Exactly.
So why are we not looking at this part of the article?
Exactly. So that is the provision that stipulates that clearly, that once there is an activity, because you see there's a redevelopment, there's an activity at trade fair, which is resulting in employees losing. Diminution means that lost in income, working condition, term in your working condition. That occasions the provision of compensation.
Right.
Clearly, what we see today is that the workers are entitled to redundancy payment, because what is currently happening is not that there's been misconduct, proven misconduct. There's not theft incident. Employees have not done anything. 25 down the line, years down the line, when they have spent their time, work with you from the days and 18 years, 15 years, several years people have worked with you. You cannot just get up one day
and
to say that
to go home.
Walk home. That is a common law position, and that cannot be upheld as far as our regulations are concerned. So what has to be done is that the law provides in section 63, 3 of the Labor Act that the employer, though you have the right to terminate, that termination has to be fair, or a fair reason must be proved. You must prove that the termination is fair. Otherwise, it will be deemed to be unfair. Now, the question you want to ask is that what is the remedy for unfair termination?
Yeah. So let's come to that. What is the remedy for unfair termination? I mean, you consider, Bismarck, you consider your termination unfair. I think I tried engaging, I must put on record that I've tried engaging the Public Sector Workers Union on this very particular matter. I'm told that they're engaging the ministries, departments, and agencies on this very particular issue. But I'm also aware that there have been series of meetings that were supposed to have been held with the CEO of the Ghana Trade Fair Company Limited. That did not happen. And that's just the information we have. But Bismarck, you consider this as an unfair treatment?
Yes.
Why?
You see, it's an unfair to be. Because you see, if you are working with somebody, and even let me tell you a fowl, if you want to kill a fowl, right, you are going to give him food and then water before you kill the fowl. So if you want to sack me, the best thing for you to do is you call me, ask the collective
as the law says.
Yes. You will tell me, even you sack me in a certain way, because at times when you are going home,
so you were not sacked, you were home.
No,
maybe the company is not doing well. I mean, every company is suffering right now, Helena. So you would want to agree that maybe